How would you react if you found out one of your friends was carrying a knife?
I'd be very concerned. You know, if it was any of my friends, I'd be talking to them and telling them the dangers of what can happen about it. Try obviously prevent them from going to prison. It's something that we don't want, and you know, I can talk them out of it, and even though it might be me, you know, look like I'm being a bad friend, I'm actually helping them out.
I would be so surprised of them, because I guess I just wouldn't think they would do that, and kind of query to why they would be carrying a knife, like, because it would kind of scare me a bit.
Obviously, if you know you come into an attack, the knife can be flipped back on you and you could be in danger yourself, so it's never a good idea to carry a knife.
It's quite concerning to think that you're with those people like all the time, and then the fact that one of your friends that you know, or that you've been with, is like carrying something that could harm you and also harm them. It makes you uncomfortable, but then I suppose your instinct would be want to say something about it. I think that's probably the best thing to do.
Yeah, I would definitely like highlight the issues around carrying knives and what it can do to them, and the fact that they could go to prison if caught.
You know, there's obviously, if you want to anonymously speak up about it, you've got like Fearless and Crime Stoppers that you can go to, but it can be hard because you're thinking, what about if the person finds out, what would they do to you? But I think it's important that even though it can be classed as like snitching essentially, you've got to protect everybody. Why
do you think some people carry a knife?
I think for protection. You know, if you're getting into the wrong group or hanging about around the wrong people, sometimes it's a bit of protection. It makes you feel like if you get into any bad business or anything, then you've got that protection there. I feel like, again, if you're in the wrong group or the wrong crowd, or you've gone down the wrong path, sometimes it's a bit of peer pressure. You know, sometimes you might get peer pressured into doing it, if there's older people you're hanging about with and they're doing it. So yeah, I think definitely that's a big part.
You have to kind of think about the wider repercussions as well.
Absolutely.
For example, like the impact it will have on your friends and family. If you use that knife, like if you go to prison, how are they going to feel? Like they're going to feel sad, like you've just left your loved ones because of one like stupid act of.
It could be
it's just a stupid act.
And it flips everything upside down. Like imagine as a parent having a phone call saying that your child has been stabbed and is in life-threatening condition, and that they've been stabbed by their friend, and that could be a friend that they've had since like childhood. How would the parent feel? How would everybody else feel, the wider community? Because communities are so strong, like you see in gangs, and lots of gangs will tend to arm themselves with knives, mainly because it's very close-knit and everybody does the same thing. But there's statistics showing that those who have left gangs, although they were cautious of what repercussions there may be, they're much better for it because they've been able to focus on themselves, and essentially 9 times out of 10, if an altercation has occurred within a gang, everybody then suddenly turns on each other and they're all out for themselves anyway. So you're not really that protected, even though everybody has that feeling that they are when they're in it. It's when you take that perspective and look in and you realise that you're actually not.
I also think it's a very bad idea. It's pointless really, because although you've got it there for protection, it can end up being, you know, bad, because it can turn on yourself. You can end up being on the end of it. So yes, you shouldn't do it at all.
So even if obviously you've got a knife and you plan on not using it, like you said, for protection uses, and you mentioned it could be flipped back on you, but also you plan on not using it, but then if you come into a scenario where you feel that you have to use it, you end up missing very important birthdays, anniversaries and stuff like that, because you're in prison. So, you know, if you eliminate the knife in the first place, then, you know, you're not going to have to use it at all.
Exactly, yeah. Just like reinforcing like that it is illegal to carry a knife, and that people shouldn't be doing it, even if they do want to. They feel like it makes them feel cool. It doesn't, like from the outside. Yeah, especially not when you're in prison.
Absolutely not, because that, as you said, it's that education. Because some people don't realise it is illegal, and it most certainly is. And I think You know, it's like we're talking now. It's that importance of recognising that, you know, you can't carry it. No matter how small it is, it doesn't even have to be a knife. Even something that can just be used to harm others or yourself, it's something that you can't do at all. And I think doing things like this and also reaching out into education across everywhere, whether it be in actual education, formal education settings, or even just out and about with posters and stuff, it's what we need to do to make sure everybody's on the same wavelength. So
I agree. Yeah.
So what do you think can be done to discourage people from carrying knives, and also how would they be able to get out of it?
I think primary and secondary education plays a huge role in that. So like helping people know the consequences of carrying a knife, the fact that you can go to jail, like you ultimately probably end up stabbing somebody and killing somebody maybe, because the statistics show that if you're carrying a knife, even if you don't intend to use it, you're more likely to stab somebody. And then also knowing the fact that 99% of young people don't carry knives, so the threat isn't very high, so there's no need to carry a knife.
Yeah, it's very perceived, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think also, like, to combat this, I think the use of role models is really important, because you can use that across like primary and secondary education, that, you know, staff can highlight people that are in this world doing the right thing, whether it be footballers like us, you know, telling you to not get involved and to stop carrying knives, and essentially it's allowing them to see a different perspective and how they can make better use of their time and find something that they enjoy.
Obviously, to discourage people from carrying knives is, you know, we have to educate them, you know, let them know the consequences of what can happen, so they don't put themselves in the situation they need to be in. Like I mentioned earlier, missing important, you know, birthdays, etc., and events, you know, but also putting someone else's life in danger is not what they want to be held accountable for. So as long as they know the consequences of it and realise what they're doing, it should click with them.
I also think, you know, if they eliminate it from their lives and get on the right path and in with the right crowd and get onto a path where the end goal is what they want to do when they're older and stuff, like they look to people like us as role models to get to where they want to get to. If they're into sport, like it will affect their path to get there.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
If they eliminate it, then they can be what they want to be. They can get to where they want to get to.
Obviously about the sports, and if you're into that, but also if you know, there's people younger than us who still don't know what they want to do with their life and which route and path they want to go down. But I think it's important that we educate them as well, and we teach them why it's not good to carry a knife and what the consequences are of it. There's always someone to talk to, whether it's friends, family, or, you know, other people that are important in your life. So I think that's important that they have that support as well, and realise what it is that they're ultimately putting themselves and others in danger for.
It could mean coming out of your old bubble where people are carrying knives and maybe you've only just found out, but is that the right group for you? Do you feel safe? And yeah, it might be hard to step out of that, but eventually you'll find the right people for you, and it's okay if that takes time, but essentially you've got to make sure that you're safe and that you're helping everybody else to be safe, and you can become that role model as well, because you might step out of a group that have been carrying knives and then they suddenly look to you because they value you as a friend and go, oh look, they've done it, so why can't I do it as well? And then it sets that ball rolling, and then hopefully there's progress made, essentially.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And like picking up that point on like you doing it and then you coming out and then your friends coming out after you.
Yeah.
For example, like if you know your friend is going to commit a crime with a knife or is just carrying a knife, you can be accused of joint enterprise. So being accused of knowing the fact that they were carrying a knife, even though you didn't commit the crime yourself.
You know, if you're in a group of friends or family and you feel like you don't want to snitch on someone, a loved one basically, you can always report the situation to Crime Stoppers. You don't have to always go and snitch on them, or, you know, you can tell people who you trust and and maybe it can be resolved in a different way instead of going straight to the police.
Exactly, there's so much help out there, and like if you do say no, your friends, friends who are carrying a knife, so they might not even be friends anyway, should respect that if they are your friends. So they should be like, okay, yeah, like you don't have to come. And if they don't respect that, then that comes back to your point of you probably need another friend group because they don't have your best intentions at heart.
Exactly, and don't get me wrong, that can be difficult, but essentially it's going to be the best for you. And it might be hard now, but you'll look back on it and think, yeah, I'm glad I did that, because it's hard when you're wrapped up in it all. When you suddenly take another perspective looking out from the outside, then you realise that, yeah, this is the right thing to do. And you've seen it with lots of ex-prisoners or people that have gone to prison. All they say is that, I wish I'd come out of it. And like the ones that have stepped out of gangs or stepped out of being armed with knives, their lives are for the better, and they're so glad that they did. So I think it's really emphasising that point that you can turn things around. It's not a fact that it's like, oh, I've done it now, that's it. I've just got to keep carrying one. I've got to threaten people to use it. No, you can always change, and people will support you with that. And there's plenty of help out there.
No, 100% agree.
That can do that with you, because you're not alone in this. It can be very difficult, but there's always support there, and people want the best for you.
Exactly.